Hey, it's me. Yes, I'm still working that outdated pastel aesthetic, but what can you do? So I've seen a lot of memes and videos about YouTubers who do story time and like all this crazy stuff happened to me when I was younger, when I did this and I got a stalker and I was poisoned and all this crazy stuff. Well, I have some stories that are kind of like that, not extreme. I'm gonna try not to clickbait these or anything like that, obviously, because like that's just kind of a jerk move. Can we all just agree on that? Anyway, I figured I'd do this fun, well, it's not really gonna be fun, but this little story time video, not only because like, oh hey, this might make an interesting video, but also it might, you know, help some other people out there who have had similar experiences to this kind of realize, you know, you're not alone in this. This stuff happens, and here's what you can do if this happens to you, I guess. Alright, so I'm gonna try and do this whole story in one take, just so you can kind of get the feel of it. So I apologize for any, like, flubbing of my words. I'm not exactly a very clear speaker. So, yeah, here we go. So, a few years ago, I lived back in California, and I went to a church that was very small. There's only two people that were under the age of like 50 there, other than like one couple with a baby. So it was a pretty small church. I liked it. It was a good church and stuff, but there was a lot of older people, which wasn't too bad, except for the fact that there was one, he was the greeter. He was very nice, but he had a tendency to be very creepy. This kind of started during the summer. I was wearing a dress to church, and he made a comment, because normally I like to wear tights with my dresses, because, I mean, I don't know, I just have a weird thing about showing my legs, but I like to wear tights also because they're fun. They have some fun patterns. You can wear kitty tights, as you've seen in my previous videos and such. So anyway, I was wearing a dress with no tights for once, and it was a long dress. I usually like to wear dresses down to my knees, just personal preference. And he comes up to me and he says, "Oh, you know, I noticed you're not wearing your tights today." I was like, "Oh, yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, I really like it. Like, I like you have nice color on your legs. You know, I don't like it when the girls wear the stuff to cover their legs. It just doesn't look right." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then I kind of left and found that weird, but I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe he just makes weird comments. I kind of mentioned it to my mom. She's like, "Oh, he's just a very lonely man. Just, you know, don't be too weirded out by him." I was like, okay, whatever. And then another day came where he came up to me, and it had been hot out because it was California. And I don't remember if I was wearing a shorter skirt or what, but he came up to me and he's like, "Oh yeah, we talked about the weather," and he's like, "Yeah, it's really hot out, but I do like this hot weather." I was like, "Oh yeah, good thing you live here," kind of thing. He's like, "Oh yeah, because when it's hot out, the girls wear less clothes." Yeah, he straight up said that to me. So I was like, "Oh, haha." And I just kind of walked away. I was like, alright, that's really creepy. And then as I'm getting ready to leave with my dad, he was talking to my dad about the weather also. And he turns to me and he's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead and tell your dad what I told you about why I like the hot weather." And I just kind of chuckled. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead and tell him." I was like, because the girls wear less clothes? And he's like, "Yeah." And like, I'm leaving with my dad. I was like, "Do you find that creepy?" And he's like, "That's a little bit weird." Yeah, I'm like, "A little? This is like a 60-year-old man." I was like 19 at the time. This 60-year-old man is talking to this 19-year-old girl about how he likes it when girls wear less clothing. To me, little creepy. There was another time I came in and I was wearing these tights that had like all these, they're black tights so you could see, they're kind of like fishnets but not quite, they were floral. They looked really cool. And like, he came up to me, he's like, "Oh, those are some interesting tights." He really had a thing for my legs, apparently. He comes up to me, he's like, "Oh, those are some really interesting tights. At first I thought you had gotten like some leg tattoos." And I was like, "Oh no, you ruined your legs." And I'm just like, okay, like seriously creeped out by this guy. So another thing he used to do is if I was talking to somebody, or usually as if I was in a group, but he would do it to other people too. But he wouldn't walk up and be like, "Hey." He would sit there, he would come over, and he would stand just in your peripheral vision and wait. And just stand there and wait for you to notice him. And it wasn't like, "Oh hey, like he looks like he wants to talk." He just stand there and just wait. And it was creepy, and I would purposely ignore him every time he did it because it weirded me out. Okay, it was creepy. I wasn't about to talk to this guy. So you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, that's creepy. Why are you telling us this? Well, back when I lived in California, I lived in a very small town, and I was home alone a lot. So finally, you know, I was allowed to walk around the town. Every once in a while I'll go get the mail or go, you know, to the store or something. So I used to go out and walk around for fun because it was a very small town. There's nothing to do. So one day I'm out walking and I was bored. So I put on like some darker makeup and, you know, something I wouldn't normally wear like church or anything. And so I'm walking through this parking lot and so I'm walking and this car pulls up and it kind of stops. And the window rolls down, and it's the guy from church. I kid you not. And he's like, hey! I completely ignored him. I did not look at him. I did not acknowledge him. I kept walking. I pretended I didn't hear him. I maybe glanced in his direction, but I acted like a stranger. I was not about to go up to this guy and be like, oh, hey, what's up? Especially when I'm by myself in this small town where there's like nobody out. And yeah, no, not happening. So I left. I went home. He didn't follow me or anything, but I was weirded out by that. So that week at church, he comes up to me and asks, oh, do you walk around there alone a lot? I was like, no, not really. You know, I played dumb. I was like, oh, I'm not letting you know that I walk around by myself. And he was like, oh, okay, I thought I saw you. And I was like, no, I don't usually walk around. So he goes to my dad and asks him, does your daughter walk around that town alone a lot? And my dad's like, oh, well, sometimes, yeah. I'm like, Dad, can you not? And nothing else ever really came of that, but I told Dad, I was like, that's really creepy. Like, I saw him. So, a disclaimer note, whenever I would walk around by myself, I always carried pepper spray and a knife on me and my phone, just ready to access, because, especially after that, nothing ever came of it. But I was extra cautious when I was walking and keeping an eye out for cars, you know. It was really freaking creepy. I'm really happy that we moved away from there, because I'm not saying he was gonna do something, but no old man just comes up to a 19-year-old girl, compliments her legs multiple times, and then, you know, stalks her almost, basically. To put a clickbaity word to that, it was almost stalking, not quite. And like I tried talking to my parents about this, they just kind of brushed it off and like, oh, he's just a lonely old man, you know, don't pay him any mind. And I'm just like, that's really concerning. So to any of you out there who have ever had a problem like this, like I know a lot of people, there's this whole thing going on with like sexual assault and all that jazz. And you know, you need to be cautious leading up to that. Like there are steps that you can take to prevent things like that. I'm not saying, you know, oh, here's my all how-to guide on how to prevent sexual assault or anything like that, but there's creepy people out there. And just because someone's nice to you, from what I've learned, if a guy's nice to you, he's got a thing for you. That's, at least in my experience, every time a guy has been nice to me, he's wanted something. So, it could just be me. It could be my experience. But just kind of some words of wisdom, you know, be careful if a guy seems a little overly nice, and if you think he's kind of creepy, don't be too nice back. I know that sounds horrible. Yes, you can be nice to them, but don't lead them on. Don't give them reason to think you're interested back. It's just a bad world out there, and you've got to be careful, because I've had friends, they have guys they were nice to because they felt bad for, and they turned out to be really creepy, and they started making, you know, sexual comments towards them and touching them inappropriately, and they didn't really know what to do because they're like, crap, I was nice to this guy, I feel bad for him, and I kind of got close to him, now what do I do? It's okay to be mean. I'm gonna say that right out. It's okay to be mean to a guy if he's being creepy to you. Now, just saying, don't go up to some random guy who paid you a compliment and be like, you're a douche, I'm gonna punch you in the face, you know, nothing like that. But it's okay to say no. It's okay to ignore a guy. It's okay to it's okay to lie to him. If you think he's stalking you, if you think he's being creepy, you can lie to him. You can tell him, I'm busy. You can ignore him. You can walk away. You can do that. And even if you talk to other people and they don't really seem to make a big deal out of it like you do, they don't really seem, you know, as interested or concerned, if it's a big deal to you, then there's clearly something going on. You can talk to other people about this. You can find someone, you can, you know, talk to others. Now, I got lucky because this guy I only saw at church, and then we moved away. But sometimes some people aren't as lucky. If this is, like, I know a lot of things come out about stuff happening at churches because it never goes noticed. It goes unnoticed because people don't want to talk about that. That doesn't happen in a church. Stuff happens in churches, and as much as, you know, I'd like to think that churches are perfect, they aren't. And if something like that has happened to you, talk to people. And if this persists, you have the right to not go. And you have the right to say, I don't want to be there. There is this person that's scaring me. You can tell people. And sometimes you have to be blunt. Like, there's a few times I had to be blunt with people. Like, if they had a creepy friend or something like that, I'd tell them, like, I don't feel safe with them around. You can be around them all you like. I don't want to be around when they are because I don't feel safe. I feel violated when they look at me creepy, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, this is kind of a long ranting story, but I figured I should get that out there. It's not like, oh, you know, this super scary thing happened to me, but it was weird and it happens to a lot of people. And I just want y'all to know that there are things you can do in this case. You don't have to just take it. So that was weirdly, not deep, but like long and rambly video for me. According to my timer, I've been going for almost 10 minutes now. Wow, okay. So I should probably cut this short. Well, not short, not nearly short enough. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that this either interested you or helped you if you've ever had an experience like this. Talk to people, tell them about it. And if things get crazy enough, you can call the police. That's a thing you can do. So, with that kind of dark message at the end there, yeah, I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye!